That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night, the fourth film directed by Mike P. Nelson, which Cineverse is releasing December 12th, 2025. And of course, it is the second remake of that holiday horror classic.
Do you know any of this director's other films?
His name makes me think of Mike J. Nelson.
From MST3K.
We reviewed his last feature, which is a remake of Wrong Turn, another film that had a lot of sequels.
What is Silent Night, Deadly Night about? A child witnesses his parents' murder by a man in a Santa suit. Years later, as an adult, he dons a Santa costume himself and embarks on a violent quest for retribution against those responsible for the traumatic event from his childhood. That's not quite accurate.
Maybe that's a blending of other versions.
What's your pull quote?
The third cut of Silent Night, Deadly Night is certainly not the deepest, though its treatment of a slaying Santa suffering from seasonally induced schizophrenia resulting in violent vigilantism holds some interest, if mostly thanks to its earnest performances.
Mine. As absurd as the premise is, the film lacks the necessary fun to make this holiday slasher enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not very fun.
And you say I've watched a few of these Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. I don't remember a single thing. From my reading, this remake does diverge from the original.
Yes, I mean, the bones are there, that infamous scene of the parents getting slain by Santa. Although there's a sexual assault involved in the original film.
Oh, I don't recall that.
With the mother, that's kind of a scene that gets burned into your memory. It's so over the top. We did watch the second one for sure because I received the Blu-ray. And the second film is basically reconfiguring the first film. Like it's using all the same scenes from it.
Oh, I do recall that. And then the kid is in like an insane asylum.
Yes. But I will say, I haven't seen 4 or 5, but number 3, directed by Monty Hellman, the great Monty Hellman, I definitely think is the most fun. In my mind.
The story's pretty simple. There's a kid named Billy, and when he was younger, he witnessed his parents be murdered by a man in a Santa suit. Mm-hmm. So now, years later, as an adult, we meet Billy, who's played by
Rohan Campbell, Michael Myers' protege from the last Halloween film.
You know, I kept thinking he looks like a young Richard Kind.
Yeah.
Sickening, no?
I mean, now that you say that, I also like Richard Kind, but there you go.
So when we meet Billy as an adult in the beginning of the film, he has just killed some man in a hotel room and escapes. And then we realize that he has this murder advent calendar.
You know, that would be so stinky. So stinky. Also, that hotel scene reminded me of Strange Darling.
Oh, sure. But he ends up in this small town.
Hackett.
He gets a job working in the most obscure holiday decoration shop.
It's giving Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
And also, when you said Richard Kind, because I was thinking the shop looked like a Schitt's Creek kind of shop, I was thinking he reminded me of Dan Levy's boyfriend in that series.
Oh, yes, actually.
Maybe just a little bit. But also Hackett, which reminds me of the actress Joan Hackett, is in Minnesota.
Right. And so the story is set in Minnesota.
There's a lot of weird shit going on in this small Minnesota. I'm from a small Minnesota town. That part seems apt.
Billy gets a job in this holiday store, and the owner's daughter, named Pamela,
played by Ruby Modine,
she takes a liking to Billy. We have to keep in mind, too, the events of this story take place over the course of like 4 days.
Yes, leading up to Christ's birthday.
They bond very quickly, and it's clear very early on that Pamela also has some severe mental health issues.
That's putting it mildly. She seems insane.
But not in a fun way.
Not in a fun way, but in a way that's predictable, because I'm like, oh, she's going to dig what he's serving.
But we see Billy kill a bunch of bad people, so I think that's where this story diverts from the original. Because in the original, I understand that Billy killed indiscriminately.
I think he was triggered by also a sexual assault, and then it went on from there. Yes.
But in this film, Billy's MO is very clear. He must kill a bad person every day of the 24 days of Christmas. And if he doesn't kill a bad person, an innocent person will die.
I mean, this is exactly the same way I feel about Letterboxd. Have to have an entry every day.
Oh, God. So Billy's just out here killing fools. Where things go left is there's one bad lady named Delphine.
It's giving, she's giving Diane Thorne and Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS.
Delphine hosts an I'm Dreaming of a White Power Christmas. So she has this barn filled with Nazis. And so, of course, Billy, whose intent is to kill bad people, goes on a rampage and kills everyone in there. Like 40 people.
But also that scene sticks out like a sore thumb because it feels like you wish the rest of the film felt so bizarre.
The massacre brings law enforcement to the town. So that's a problem for Billy. But here's the gag of this story. Billy's murderous ways are not just the result of trauma he experienced as a kid. He's possessed by the spirit of the man who killed his parents.
Played by Mark Acheson, yes. Santa Charlie.
So then you think, why would the man who killed his parents possess him to then only want to kill bad people? Does that mean that Billy's parents were bad? Yes, they were. His parents killed his grandfather to get money.
But is it supernatural, or is it just a schizoid, suggested schizoid persona that passes on between people that are susceptible?
That's crazy. So there's a supernatural element, which I find odd because the trauma, the whole basis of this story is that the trauma of that childhood incident drove this kid to kill people, right?
Yeah, I think either way that you interpret what happened in this film, it doesn't make sense, because why would the Santa that killed his parents only want him to kill bad people?
Well, that's the problem. We don't get an origin story of how, like, why the spirit passes from person to person.
Like Fallen in with Denzel Washington.
But what complicates the story more is that in this small town of Hackett, there are also children being abducted, and the person abducting them is referred to as the Snatcher.
Yes.
So the film ends with a showdown between Billy and the Snatcher. Billy kills the Snatcher, but then is shot by a local police officer who happens to be the ex of Pamela.
Max, played by David Tomlinson.
So as Billy is dying, he passes his spirit to Pamela. And then Pamela immediately kills her ex, the cop.
Who used to beat her.
So we already know he's a bad person because he hits her, but then we realize he's really bad because that cop, her ex, was helping the Snatcher abduct children.
And putting them in a big room filled with play balls.
It looked like a McDonald's play place, but it was underneath the house. The end. Okay, a big part of this story is that Billy, the spirit that inhabits his body, speaks to him, not unlike the Venom movie.
Or Basket Case. Or wait, no, Brain Damage. Brain Damage, yes.
It's ever present. I find it distracting.
Because it is a bit, yes.
Also because the suggestion is that this character is severely mentally ill. So I don't understand the point. Like, what is the message? Like, I just don't understand the purpose of this remake to then make it about. And I don't recall the first movie. I don't know if there was a supernatural element to the first one, but to make it seem like it's this ambiguous spirit. But then what threw me off even more is that when the spirit moves to Pamela's body, it's now Billy talking.
Yeah, it's his voice.
So then it's not necessarily the spirit that's responsible. There's something bigger passing the spirit. And then the visuals of the spirit passing look so crazy.
I agree. But I don't know. I guess I'm just clinging to the fact that it's still this shared psychosis between these people that are susceptible. Kind of like Session 9 almost.
Oh, you weren't kidding.
I wasn't kidding. Because it makes no damn sense to me how that operates. But...
Well, I agree. It makes no damn sense. That's why I'm just assuming that it's supposed to be supernatural.
I'm trying to write the crazy crookedness of it, but yeah.
Let me get through my notes. In the beginning, in the flashback, when we meet Billy's grandfather, did that actor not look old enough to be the grandpa?
I thought that too.
Yeah.
And at first you think he's dead.
Right, because Billy and his parents go to the nursing home the grandpa lives in. And it's a weird scene because they're all waiting outside like they can't go in there, like they're waiting for something.
Because some paperwork is being signed.
And then Billy gets to go in, and it appears as though the grandfather's dead, but he's just napping. But when he wakes up, I thought that man looked like maybe he was in his late 50s, early 60s.
He looked like he didn't need assisted living yet. But again, Julie Christie and away from her could have early on said something.
The grandfather's visiting with his grandson. He gets up because he's sick, starts vomiting blood.
Mm-hmm. The grandfather.
The grandfather, and drops dead. So the parents leave with Billy. Billy's upset. Billy's dad is very cold towards the situation and just bluntly says, your grandfather's dead.
But that paperwork was signed.
So the reason that Santa killed Billy's parents is because they're bad people. They poisoned Grandpa so he would die and they would get all of his stuff.
Sure.
Also, did the actor playing Little Billy look too old? I thought that kid was like 11 or 12, but then he's acting like a 5-year-old.
Well, we're all raised differently. I don't know. I was in truth more distracted by how young Grandpa looked, but sure.
The score is doing a lot.
Yes, it is. There's some heavy lifting with this score by Blitz Berlin. And maybe if you listen to it on its own, it would be nice, but...
When we meet Pamela, she seems unhinged, and she immediately says, I'm a true crime junkie. Because she gets excited about this stranger, Billy, and asks him straight up, are you a serial killer? No. Oh, too bad. So we know already that she's a little off and that they're probably going to bond.
Her introduction as he's getting coffee in that little cafe and he's looking at her and the waitress is like, see something you like? That's what they have, some obnoxious nickname for her, like Pammers or something.
I think one of the servers calls her Pammy.
It's something that...
And she says she doesn't like it.
I don't like it either. But yeah, Pam seems off, to be sure.
Well, Pamela explains her dad says she has EPD, explosive personality disorder. We then cut to a scene where Pamela is at the local hockey rink watching her younger brother play. And that kid had already mentioned that he was concerned about looking like a girl. And then at the hockey rink, he's getting beat up by other boys, and then explains that they called him the F slur and they're teasing him because his hockey stick is pink. And Pamela goes out onto the ice and beats those kids down. And at first it was jarring, but then I thought, you know what? If my mom saw me getting beat up by kids, she probably would have done the same thing.
Well, and then immediately it's like, oh, so we're going these are going to be a Bonnie and Clyde gun crazy kind of couple that are going to go off on a crime spree.
Well, that would have been interesting. But that's not what this is.
That would have been more interesting. But no, we're tied to this Christmas horror hooey.
Then Pamela gets taken to jail, but then is released. And she's told she's being released by her ex, the cop, and says that the parents assume responsibility and didn't want to press charges. Like, okay.
That makes no sense either.
It doesn't. Then we also, when we're at the police station, we hear a kid, I think it's her younger brother, talking about how there's someone called the Snatcher. I think he's explaining it to Billy and how there are all these missing kids.
No, he's telling it to his dad. And his dad's like, that's an urban legend.
And then we turn, and behind them are how many missing persons posters of kids.
He's like, yeah, but some kids have been snatched, but it's not the Snatcher.
That doesn't make sense. We're in a small town, and you have this many kids missing.
I feel like there's so many young white children missing that the FBI would have taken over this case. Like, people would be looking for these kids.
It's just nonsensical. The Nazi Christmas party. Delphine is... because Billy had met Delphine at the hockey rink.
The hockey rink. Is a game going on there, by the way? Because this beatdown of this child is happening in plain view of everyone, and there's no coach.
It's also awkward because it seems like Pamela likes Billy and that she's excited that this, young, I guess, attractive man works in her store. But then when they go to the hockey rink, he keeps looking back at Delphine because his inner voice is telling him, oh, that bitch up there is bad. And you need to kill her next.
He's like, yeah, like right now. And then Pamela, that's a huge red flag, how she acts there.
Yeah, because then she goes, oh, do you like her? I can introduce you. Hey, Delphine girl, come on down here and meet Billy. That was all really strange. And then Delphine is eyeing Billy up and down. And she basically is like, oh, I know what to do with you. And then we cut to the Nazi party. So she must have assumed that he would have been down with her white supremacist ways. That scene, it's unfortunate because that is a bold scene, right? Like to have this barn party filled with Nazis and then because Billy refuses to use a gun.
It's very MacGyver.
So he axes everyone, which I thought was kind of crazy. 40 people in a barn, and you know they all had guns.
What's that kid saying in the Babadook? Do you want to die?
Yeah, it was kind of unbelievable to me that they all just stood there and let Billy axe them to death.
Also, like, there's another scene where he doesn't kill somebody on one day, so can't do the bloody thumbprint on the advent calendar. If you do 40 plus in a day, I think you're good. I think you're good on the calendar quota. But also, this small Minnesota town, are all these Nazis living in the town, or are they coming from other
I think
places?
hatred will push people to travel.
It just made me curious. I had those kind of questions about how they're operating so boldly. But also that massacre feels like it really wanted to be more than it is. It feels like it wanted to have the energy of the Freebird sequence in The Kingsman.
You know, also there are some graphics where whenever Billy's going to kill someone, we get something that says like, kill Delphine, kill Bob. But I think it's trying to give us something. I hate to say it, but this film looks cheap. So it just...
Well, take for instance the Schitt's Creek store, where we're only in little nooks and crannies and we're stuck by that goddamn tree so much.
Well, I'm also confused still what kind of store this is.
And we're talking about a matter of days, and Pamela, again, Red Flag Factory, is in love. Love.
Days in love. Billy's already bedded her. Okay, a moment that I thought could have worked and might have been a more appropriate tone for this film is because when Billy puts on his Santa costume, that's when he means business. So at a point, Pamela says, oh, the guy who normally plays Santa for the kids can't do it. Can you do it? And he's sweating bullets. And his inner demon is telling him, like, boy, don't you put it on because you know we're going to have a problem. And then we cut to him agreeing, and we get kids sitting on his lap telling Santa what they want for Christmas, and Billy struggling to get through it without killing these children. I did think that scene and the vibe of that scene probably would have been the better approach.
So it's a combination of the season and Santa drag that sends him off the edge.
There's an old man who visits the holiday store often, who Billy immediately gets a weird vibe about. And he ends up getting killed. And so Pamela is told a full rundown of that old man being killed and his wife being killed in the basement. And she says, how could there be something so evil in plain sight? Which I thought was such a corny line because, hello, you're in love with the Christmas killer.
Well, the dialogue in this is also subpar.
At a point, Pamela's dad gets shot trying to help get a kid out of a van, and then we find out that the snatcher is the one who shot the dad because it's on surveillance.
Mr. Sims. Is it ironic that their last name is Sims?
Because?
The game?
How is that ironic?
Simulated people?
Oh. Well, I still think that doing the whole snatcher storyline is doing too much.
Yes, because it's like it's nestled far, and it's on a back burner far, far away in a galaxy far, far away. And the Sunlight's like, we got to kill the Snatcher, and then that kept reminding me of the film Kidnap with Halle Berry.
Yes, we get a scene where Billy and Pam are in the car driving to another location, and this is when Billy decides to tell his life story to Pamela, and about how he killed his first person when he was 17, that he lived in a foster home after his parents were killed, and how now he's inhabited by this spirit who tells him to kill bad people. And what is her response? She goes, oh, so you're crazy. Okay.
Giving Dahmer.
I was worried that I wouldn't get another worst hair nominee before the end of the year, but we got one. Billy's foster mom. That lady's wig is atrocious. She looks like a cadaver that they put a wig on.
She is also so OTT.
So villainous, it doesn't even make sense.
Drugging these kids at breakfast.
If you thought the lady in Annie was bad, this lady, she's drugging the kids.
So what? What was it again? So she could go shopping?
She would drug them so they would pass out, lock them in their room all day so she could just be gone all day. But then we find out that she used to beat those kids. Mm-hmm. She beat those kids so bad that ultimately she killed 3 of them. And so one day Billy kills her, and that's his first victim. The lore of this spirit telling him to kill is not explained at all.
No, that's what makes me think it's a psychosis, but...
Well, that would be clever, but it's not well done enough, so then I just feel like I have to settle on...
Because it's so...
It would make more sense to me to make this feel like that movie Shocker.
which
Or Child's Play.
one of my least favorite Wes Craven movies is Shocker. But even this film is better than Shocker. I will say that. But yeah, because it's so flase-ja about what's going on with his Santa spirit and the origins of that. It's kind of like, oh, even Child's Play, they bother to explain it.
True. So it's set in modern day. When we first meet Billy as an adult, he's killed someone in a motel, and he sees surveillance video. So immediately I thought, how is this guy going around killing people in the modern era at this volume and has not been caught yet?
I guess that's the Midwest fault.
But then we realized that the spirit is guiding him and telling him, do this, do that, and keep protecting him. But in the end, when Billy gets shot by Pam's ex, the cop, and he's dying, his inner demon, Charlie, says, I'm sorry, kid. I should have seen that coming. I don't know if this film is trying to be funny. Pamela's character seems very, like, B-movie.
Oh, yeah.
I think Billy, that actor, and that characterization is a little more serious.
Rohan Campbell, yes, he seems to be the poster child for psychotic young men. But, yeah, it's like too earnest at times. And then because the pacing is, I also found this film really slow.
I agree.
For 96 minutes. Like, can we kick this shit up a notch? This is the second remake. But I don't know. That's where we're at.
I don't think we needed this.
I don't either, but this film had there are 5 Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. I mean, there's clearly an audience that is going to come to see this. So, again, I've seen a lot worse. It's better than, what was that last, Jeepers Creepers, or...
I don't know. I thought the last Jeepers Creepers was more entertaining.
Than this?
It was a horrible movie, and I gave it 0.5, but at least I had fun, like screaming at the screen.
Oh, sure. This
was dull.
It is dull, but the quality of this film is better. And I know people didn't love the Wrong Turn remake, but I remember not being mad at that either. I thought I liked that better than this, but...
What would you give Silent Night, Deadly Night 2025?
2.
This did not work for me. I would give it a 1.5 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.